Actually timed it just right here this morning, ladies and gentlemen. The end of the song actually happened with the timer ending. Didn't have a technical glitch. Our special guest behind the scenes, he doesn't know this yet, but I'm a master of technical glitches. I got a lot going on here. Anyway, everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you're coming to us from. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of what, ladies and gentlemen? That's right, DYOR Live. Here on the DYOR Media Network, a media network bringing you crypto shows, podcasts, rugged, wrecked, and ruined, and shows all about education in crypto. I'm glad you're joining us this morning. I see a bunch of the regulars in the room this morning. I forgot the date. I'm a master at forgetting the date. It is April 8th, 2024. It's the second quarter. I hope you're ready. Quick, there's only a few more days. Our sponsor here, right down here below here, crypto accountant, Camuso CPA. If you have any last-minute questions, get in contact. The link is below for Patrick. Go see him. Tell him DYOR Media, Tom, and Pedro sent you. Only a few more days left. If you owe, you've got to pay by this date coming up here, the 15th. I think it's the 15th this year, not on the weekend. But anyway, remember, if you don't owe, if the government owes you money, you don't have to file on time. You can file late, and the government will gladly keep your money for you. Anyway, let's get a quick shout out to Kaching's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Kaching, what you doing there, man? Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Andy Wilson coming in from Scotland. If it's not Scottish, it's crap. Jason Spurgis, welcome to the show, the Stag family. Crypto Mike coming to us from Winnipeg. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And, of course, Shireen, the other half of the Spurgis clan, thank you for joining us. She's ready for another episode of an awesome DYOR show. We got a little different show for you today. We have a guest this morning from a group called Pioneer Development Group. He'll be on in a few minutes after I get through the beginning part of the show. And Pedro is out today. Pedro had a schedule conflict today. He's not sick anymore. He's not on vacation. He's not doing something else, but he had a real world life thing. So he's out today. So we're going to do a little shorter show. Won't hit the heavy technical analysis that all of you love so much. But we still have a lot to talk about. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is this number right over my shoulder here. Bitcoin, $72,000. It broke out. All the crypto analysts were calling for the breakout to happen soon, between yesterday and 2 weeks from now. And it happened like a day after they called it. But interesting coincidence. What is today, lady? I should say this is not a coincidence. We had a breakout this morning, but how many Mondays in a row have we had a breakout recently? A lot, right? And except for one, because it was a holiday. But what do you attribute that to? Right. The Wall Street guys who buy the ETFs work still on the Wall Street schedule of showing up at the office at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. to the trading desks on Mondays. And all the orders that built up over the weekend, they execute. And so we've seen a lot of pumps on Mondays from Bitcoin ETF funding. And it's no different. Last week, if you can believe this, I bet you can believe it. But Bitcoin ETFs were funded. BlackRock bought 12,000 BTC last week alone. Remember, only 900 are made a day. 900, that's it. So only 900, only 6,300 were made last week. That means we had double the amount was buying for BlackRock. Fidelity bought 18,000 last week. 18,000. So 30,000 just in those two ETFs. It's amazing. However, we didn't see a big pump last week because Grayscale has still been dumping their Bitcoin. Grayscale refuses to lower their fees. They're keeping them up at over 2% when these guys are all now at 0.25%. I don't know what their fees are under 1%. And as we all know, just a single percentage difference in fees over a 30-year investment turns out to be almost 40% less in your total. And so people are very astute to the percentage of the fees. And they're out of there. They're shining on BlackRock, on Grayscale, and moving their money. That paused, and then this morning we saw no sales from Grayscale, and the ETFs loading, and so the price jumped right out of its zone and has given us hope. It's given us hope, ladies and gentlemen. It's given us hope because they. You know what? I have to fix one thing on here. Oh, Chuck Jansen in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Chuck Jansen, the doc from Oklahoma.
Doc?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the doc from Oklahoma. Give him the old Fletch line. I just got to make sure one thing is good here. And I don't have Pedro with me, so usually, as you all know, I do a lot of the tech stuff behind the scenes when he's given his chat. Let's see. Middle. All right. All right, what I wanted to show you were these couple of tweets from people. Yeah, first one, this was, and thanks to Ran at Crypto Banter for bringing this to my attention. Not directly, but for his show. Is the amount of Bitcoins. Oh, I had that wrong. BlackRock, 12,000. Fidelity, 6,000. The total was 18,000. And then over here, where we are in this point here, I wanted to show you. Bitcoin 2020 back there, Bitcoin 2024. We are right here. Look at the similarity of these charts. I don't have my lighting right today. Look like a hostage video. But we're the consolidation that just went on in the past month here has been driving everyone nuts because the ETF marketing started, the ETF inflow started. Everyone in the market thought, wow, this is really going to boom. Unfortunately, Grayscale had a lot to sell. The retail traders haven't showed up at all yet. They're not there. This is just institution money, but it's just like 2020. And so everyone's prediction now here, because the chart is exactly the same. And if you get the better TA guys out, like Ben Cohen and Crypto George, they'll go over this all the way back through 2012, and it's not something I'm capable of doing. But it's ready to go. It's ready to go. If you're someone that plays the futures market, if you're someone that plays the spot market, it's looking to be, make 100% pretty soon just in Bitcoin. If you're someone that plays the futures market, depending on your risk for leverage and risk for losing your ass, you can bet that there's money to be made there. And Chuck says, yes, welcome to some awesome gains on a BTC long. Well, you were lucky. There were a lot of people shorting it because they thought the consolidation was going to break down, and a little bit of bad news from Gensler and crew would have tarnished Bitcoin and sent it back down in the 60s. In fact, even Pedro was calling it to go back down into the 60s because he didn't see the breakout coming yet. Pedro, you missed that one. Let's see. What else? Did I miss someone here? Nope, but once again, welcome to everyone joining us. As always, we're on YouTube, but if you are someone that needs to multitask on your phone while you're at work, remember you can switch over to the Twitch app, put it in the background, and you're still able to use your phone and listen to us. All right, let's see what we got going on here. But anyway, so what we wanted to talk about, one of the things we're going to talk about today is what's coming up this week, what, potentially the halvings coming up, all that type of stuff. And I think we'll have a good discussion about it. The other thing I wanted to talk about quickly here, let's see. The other thing I want to talk about quickly. Oh, yeah. Solana. How many of you guys have tried to trade Solana the past week? Or especially over the weekend? I bet not many of you had much success using Radium here. Everything failed. Everything I tried to buy just failed. And it wasn't until someone else said, hey, go to this other DEX called it was really sketchy, but it worked amazingly fast. All of Radium's ones were failing, and this one it's called Pump something. It traded through Radium, used their liquidity pools, but it was instant settlement. But Radium wasn't working. Neither was Jupiter. All having problems. and thus, as we've seen, the Solana price is not increased with the pump and everything else. We'll probably talk more about pricing in that a little bit here in a minute. Where are my friends from War? Hold on, let me do a little social media here and find out where these guys are. Let's see. I think if the world we're going to announce a new partnership here in a few minutes, and they haven't quite got my name right. And obviously, I go by my name Tom here, but my Reddit and digital media name is Striking Balls. They just call me Striking Ball. So I think they're out there. English is not their first language, so I understand, but it's funny. All right, let's see. Come support the comments, guys. Yo, you know what? I better check my YouTube moderation. Ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing the birds of an island somewhere because my guest will be on shortly. No, there's no moderation going on here. All right. Let's see where we are here. All right, so we're talking about Solana. Solana not working. El no worko, as they say in Spanish. No, that's not what they say. El no worko wasn't working, so the Solana price, their volume was just at maximum velocity. But I want to point out the Solana meme coins and meme coins in general last week kind of faded. They had this huge run up for basically the past month and a half, 2 months. And then as more people started coming into it, really the people that had been there for 2 months used everybody as exit liquidity. And last week kind of saw the volume drop off. Solana was having tons of problems with bottlenecks. So people were getting either bad transactions or failed transactions. And so they just kind of laid off of it. And so we saw the volume. I'm going to bring up this chart here. So the volume. Oh, my tabs are in the wrong order. This chart here is the comparison of Solana to Base and ETH. In the graph down here at the bottom, I'm gonna bring this chart up here. The green, everything in green is Solana. Purple, you know what? I have shit. Hit Polygon up there instead of Base. Ethereum is gray, Solana is green, and blue is Base. And as you can see, Solana, the volume is far higher than anywhere else by an order of magnitude above Ethereum and Base. And frankly, most of Ethereum's volume right now is because of Base, because Base is going crazy. And they, as you recall, they Ethereum is their Base token, and we all know that everyone hates ETH because of the fees. They're outrageous. They drive us crazy. And of course, why the entire level 2 area started. Hey, just a quick question. Does anyone have any trouble with the stream? The YouTube analytics is giving me a little strange indications here. Let me know if anyone's having trouble with the stream, either it dropping off or disappearing. All right. No, nobody? Anyway. Point here is that Solana is still the king of volume here, and I'm going to build this up into something. ETH is the amazing, the kind of the first major crypto after BTC. We all know that, and and it quickly outgrew, the transactions outgrew what it was capable of, funded the whole development of, or not funded, caused the whole development of level 2 chains to develop. I mean, if ETH started with a bazillion actions a second, nobody would have any reason to start a second chain. But ETH blew it. Didn't anticipate there'd be more than 6 people every second needing to transact. And so these other chains blew up. And they did that for good reason, to satisfy our need for lower gas and faster transactions. Solana's killing it. And what they did is the other day, they had some bottleneck issues, and they debugged it on the fly without shutting their chain down. And it didn't work. They didn't cause any more problems. It just didn't work because the bottlenecks are still there and people are still having trouble with it. So if you're trading on Solana, or if you're holding Solana and you're wondering why your bags didn't pump today like everyone else's and other chains, this is the reason why. It's the bottleneck. But Solana's still the king of transactions here. Even though people are FOMOing into Base as fast as they can. Base is still new in the meme coin market. It hasn't been around. It's only been around since September. And it's got a long way to go. But with Coinbase behind it, and they're launching a new wallet coming out, a new smart wallet of some sort. No seed phrases. No app, no third parties to rely on, just a browser-based extension. It should be interesting to see how they do it. All right, let's see here. What's going on? All right, I'm going to give the. We're going to talk about. Over the weekend, as you know, you've heard a lot of crypto groups have come up and rated our comments here. I love it when a group comes up, community gets together and rates the comments and things like that. And over the past week, we had a community come in and do that. The developer of it reached out to me and said, "Hey, are you interested in talking about our project more?" And I was like, "Well," I said, "we got to get to know you first." And so I spent some time doing that, and came to an agreement to add a new sponsor to the show. We've got Audit Chain here. Audit Chain is, I'll just go over them quickly, is using a logic and reasoning artificial intelligence engine to audit financial statements and Edgar filings, 10Ks, all that type of stuff in seconds instead of having groups from Deloitte do it for weeks. And they're just launching, and as I said, they're releasing their software nodes currently, and if you have any interest in those software nodes, get a hold of me behind the scenes, and I'll get you over to the right people. Also, Camuso CPA here, I've already spoken about. DeFi Dojo here, they have the sponsored segments that many of us know and love from the DeFi Dojo here. But we've got a new one. Got a new one here today, and we're going to hit up Bruno from... that's right, ladies and gentlemen, World of Rewards. The World of Rewards project is a new project out there, just launched a little while ago, in which, let me bring it up on my screen. How about we do that? In which, where is War? There you go. World of Rewards. I'm going to play that sound again, just for the World of Rewards guys in the house. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. World of Rewards. They have this DApp in which if you buy and hold, and I must say I'm now a holder of this token, and while I didn't buy it as an investment, and I'm not telling you to buy it as an investment, and the thing here says this is entertainment purposes only, and education, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm teaching you about their product. But in order to teach you about their product, I had to have a small bag of their token. What you can see over in the corner over here, my whiteboard isn't working, otherwise I'd show you, is a list of projects on there. And if you hold the World of Rewards token, you can choose to get rewards in any of the projects that they have. And they do this, and projects sign up because when you choose to get rewards in any of the other projects, it increases the holder account for these newer, smaller projects. So it's a win-win for both. You get eyeballs on the World of Rewards token, and you also get new projects to get new holders. It's great for everybody, and I'll be putting out an explainer video about how this works coming up soon here. You know, guys, I don't know if my comment section is actually working. It froze about 20 minutes ago. Let me see if it... Oh, it just updated. Look at that. Sorry, guys, I wasn't up to with the comments. Victor says, hello. The mayor of Akron, farmer. Hello, Mayor of Akron. Mayor of Akron, thanks for joining us. Charles Jansen, I got some war. Thanks for checking in. Thanks, Chuck, for... Johnny P says, Tommy, how are you, sir? I'm doing pretty well. Johnny, thanks for joining the show. Really appreciate it. Crypto says, although I should have... Oh, I missed a bunch of Mike's comments here. Chuck says, a few other YouTubers getting weird indicators today. Well, it is. I think many of them are confused because the breakout happened in the areas where they wanted it to happen, but not for the reasons that it happened. And I think that is because, like I said earlier, because the ETF guys did all their Monday morning purchases and they forgot to calculate that in. Anyway, just to quickly wrap up, I'm going to be talking more about World of Rewards. Every day we're going to check on my bag of World of Rewards, see how many rewards they've had. We're going to do a little explainer video about it to get it out there. So I want to thank Bruno from joining World of Rewards and DYOR Live. And we'll be looking forward to talking about them and hoping we can use our voice to get the project a few more viewers. I'm running way behind here. I'm off schedule here because usually, as I say, normally I have Pedro doing it. But Leon says, hello from the DFS Mafia. I haven't heard of that one, but tell your community to raid the show and I'll talk about them more. Anyway, that's it from World of Rewards. So thank you, the World of Rewards guys, for that. I look forward to a good partnership with you guys. Now I'm going to bring up the guest of our show today. And really, I say he's a guest, but really because I don't have Pedro, he's going to be my co-host for the rest of the show. And we're going to talk all things what's coming up this week. So if you have questions about the economy, if you have questions about... hold on. Sorry, your introduction got interrupted by something that I have to do. We got a super chat, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give a shout out to Skid on Solana. Success, Kid. All right, that's a shill. Gave us, I think it's Australian $10 for that shout out. Now that's how you join a community. That's how you join a community. You come in and you pay. As always, ladies and gentlemen, any advertising money, any partnership money, any super chat money, Pedro and I use to reinvest to make this channel better because we want to make it a large media outlet here, and we're growing very well. So those to Johnny P, tell your community to come in here and raid the comments. We'll talk about it more. I'll get the team to raid, brother. That's what it's about. This is all marketing here. It's marketing and education. Anyway, sorry to interrupt your introduction. I have got Christopher Alexander here, of Pioneer Development Group, the Chief Analytics Officer, Chief Marketing Officer, Chief Communications Officer. He runs it, he does it, and he's all about crypto and policy in Washington, D.C. Chris, welcome to the show. Chris, as I said, welcome to the show. The birds in the background will be noted throughout the show, and as we said, we hope they don't give us a copyright claim on the songs they sing. If they,
I can also do the surf report. I grew up in Southern California. It's not worth paddling out right now.
That's it. You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. The morning surf. The wind is off the beach, so you're not going to get any good surf today. There's no swells. Anyway, Chris, I want to thank you for joining us here today. We like to have conversations here that we haven't had in a while because of the meme coin craze, to get a little bit more serious about the economy, what's to come, and kind of the climate for growth of the digital economy here. I've been talking about the growth in Bitcoin this morning here from a very simplistic point of view, short-term breakouts in a small trading area. From your perspective, where do you think the growth in Bitcoin in the adoption and digital economy lies?
Well, and I don't do price analysis, but I am very interested in kind of macroeconomic trends, and I think.
Oh,
did I freeze up? Yeah, that figures.
Hold on.
Am I back?
You're not back, but something happened here.
Speaking of.
All right. No, I don't know what happened there. You froze and then the whole thing froze. Give me a minute and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be right back with you. Sorry about that. Chris, can you hear me?
Yes.
Ooh, that was loud. 1 second here. Yeah, I just, my broadcast computer just had a complete system freeze there. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be with you shortly. Just bringing our guest back here. We'll be up in just a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, I'm back here. Don't know what happened. Had a system freeze. Happens every now and then after a video card driver upgrade. All right, if you can hear us, let us know. That's good. We still got a decent crew here. All right, I'm going to try and bring up our guest back here. Good to go, Mike says. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I was introducing Christopher Alexander here, the Chief Analytics Officer, Chief kind of everything at Pioneer Development Group. And I was just asking him a question about, I'll try and re-summarize it, but I've been talking about the short-term BTC in the week, in the month span. Where do you see the growth in BTC coming from? What needs to happen, either from a market perspective or a policy perspective, to really kick it into gear?
Yeah, and again, I don't do a lot of price predictions. Just not part of what we do. But to look at macro factors in particular, I think first and foremost, when you plot Bitcoin out over time, logarithmically, you see this. It's just a matter of supply and demand. And I think you were pointing out at the beginning of the show, right, that there's like 600 Bitcoin produced today, and
900. Yeah,
900, and they're buying tens of thousands in a day or a week, and these spot ETFs. So I think the amount of new currency, Bitcoin that's going to come onto the market is going to be reduced here at the halving. And if institutional money keeps coming in like this, and the retail investors start kind of catching on, I think you could see, phenomenal jumps in price. I think the other thing that people are missing here is the Ethereum spot ETF. And I think that's much more significant than people realize. Okay, sure, yes, maybe Ethereum gets approved, right? And of course, remember, the day after the Bitcoin ETF got approved, Chairman Gensler came out and said, don't expect all of these crypto ETFs to get approved. So, was he hinting at something? We'll find out. I know, was it Eric Balakunis, the guy who kind of made the last call on the Bitcoin ETF, is a little skeptical. But think about this. It's kind of a canary in the coal mine. If Ethereum does not get approved, does that mean that you're going to have a problem with altcoins and regulation? I mean, the SEC's gone full steam ahead on Coinbase and a few others. I know they just had another recent loss. But what does this Ethereum ETF signal for Bitcoin as much as it does for the altcoin market? I think is going to be one of the most important things in, I guess, May when it's due.
One of the things that it struck me as odd was that when they got the BTC ETF approved, Gensler voted to approve it, and the two Republicans, and Hester Pierce and the other guy, and the Democrats, he gave them cover. He gave them cover so they didn't have to approve it. He sided with it. He is basically, in my mind, he was forced to approve these things. Because the banking world came to him and said, you were going to do this, or none of you guys are going to get jobs after the SEC. But after that, he was like, all right, we got the BTC approved, and it's a big thing. But now he is going back into gatekeeper mode, and he's going back into the mode of like, all right, in order to really get anything done, you have to appease me, because I am Gary Gensler, the supreme being of all things. On Wall Street now, because he's in control of so much hard-handed regulation now, or I should say regulation. I should say it's the term I'm looking for. We've said it a million times.
Regulation by enforcement.
Yes, that's it. Regulation by enforcement. It came to your tongue faster than mine. And so he's saying, all right, we're going to slow this down, and I'm going to drag my feet intentionally and everything else until. Maybe until his term runs out, so he doesn't have to deal with it anymore and be forced to take a position, or he's looking for concessions or looking for ways to pump the SEC budget.
Well, let me suggest a third direction, and I understand that And first of all, being with the blockchain, it's incredibly frustrating to see the heavy-handedness, the regulation by enforcement, the what was it, the dozens of times that like Kraken went in to work with the SEC on rules moving forward, and then were essentially charged with an ex post facto crime after already agreeing to comply moving forward to something that wasn't illegal at the time. I mean, it's deeply frustrating. So I understand there's a bit of a sport in hating Chairman Gensler, but let me suggest that I say that before the comment section turns on me. But let me suggest a third alternative. Perhaps he's a little bit more neutral than we all often think that he is. And at the end of the day, he's a political appointee, right? I mean, he works at the behest of the president of the cabinet. But perhaps he was told, hey, go slow on this and start cleaning it up, because there are problems. ICOs and things like that were problematic from the start, frankly, in too many cases. Not all of them, but too many cases. But perhaps what he's doing is saying, hey, Congress, if you won't give me legislation to enforce, I will continue to make it hurt for everyone until you do. And I wonder if you think about that as being sort of his tack here, that makes sense how he's the deciding vote 4-3 on the Bitcoin ETF approval, because perhaps he's not as anti-crypto, certainly not as anti-Bitcoin. And there's another theory I've heard floating around that maybe he's some kind of a Bitcoin maxi, but perhaps he's not as anti-crypto as he is. Let's call it anti-Congress, if you will, that he just wants clear rules. And, as frustrated as we get with Chairman Gensler, and there are some, debt box, the lawyers being essentially sanctioned, there are some problems that he needs to clean up. But if Congress doesn't give him rules, they're kind of the ones that are responsible for this. So I think it's kind of interesting which way he goes and which way Ethereum goes. But what I find also interesting is this: if I'm BlackRock, any of the others that have put in these Ethereum ETFs, every dollar that's spent on an altcoin, one might argue, is a dollar that a less informed investor may not spend on Bitcoin. And so I wonder how much they care. I mean, what BlackRock does, what Wall Street and these various entities are amazing at, is figuring out how to make money no matter what happens. And I'm sort of curious. I know with BlackRock, like, they've started tokenized assets on Ethereum and other things. They seem pretty all in, but
and on their internal chain too.
Yeah. So I think they're. I'm very curious. I mean, either way, they'll have figured out how to make money out of this. But I think that's an interesting factor. And then the last thing to me is the damage that the ETFs are doing to crypto literacy. I think that's a significant issue. I mean, imagine 50 years ago, I like to use this example, that you told someone, I'm going to give you a plastic square card and you're going to stick it into a building and money's going to come out. They would have thought you were crazy.
Right. No.
And we have that problem now. So I'm kind of excited to hear that Coinbase is trying to figure out how to do something without seed phrases and everything. I'm worried about the security naturally, but you're not learning how to keep your money on an exchange, pick your exchange, or better yet, a cold wallet. You're not learning how to do that. You're paying one of the ETFs. I don't want to name one because I'm not picking on any one of them, but you're paying a manager to do it for you. And I think that's a problem for crypto adoption at large.
Well, we do know that every Friday, or like they say, either every week, every bi-monthly or monthly, and a massive amount of free money just comes to Wall Street, from the retirement deductions. I mean, what other industry just gets free money to use like this? I mean, it is the greatest scam in the history of the earth. And they get billions of dollars every week to invest. And many of these people now can get exposed. Most have not chosen to expose themselves to ETFs yet. But, all sorts of regular day-to-day funds now have the ability to start feeding into the Bitcoin story. And as a result, we saw people, the ETFs, people, or the Ethereum ETFs, that people want to have a basket of currencies ETFs. They want to have your house as an ETF. They wanted everything. And so we did see Gensler, take the say, well, hold on, we just had 500 million applications for all sorts of things after the BTC one. We got to slow this down and figure this out better. But I find your theory about the third the third narrative about Gensler to be interesting because we do know that Congress can't get anything done. I mean, it's hard enough for them to get anything done when they're all the same party. Not when they're split like this, and the sentiment between them is basically holy war. They really can't get anything done. And so I can see your theory about leaving Gensler out, hanging out to dry. And he's like, all right, well, I got to do something. Although I've had a couple of attorneys on from the past SEC attorneys on the show before, and they've commented that a lot of times they didn't get any direction, so they just didn't do anything. They're like, all right, let's not do anything at all.
You have a great point. I was going to point out, like he could choose to do nothing, but he kind of can't, right? We saw in March of 2022, this Dear Colleague letter goes out on the Hill to Democrats, and it's basically got talking points to start attacking Bitcoin and crypto. So this made up fantasy number that like Bitcoin pollutes and kills more dolphins than anything on earth or whatever, Ocasio-Cortez and a few others. And by the way, this is not a political issue in that like irrational hatred of Bitcoin exists on both sides of the aisle. So if I'm picking on anybody, both parties deserve some blame here. But
very, very DC of you there, taking to both sides there.
Well, yeah. Look, I'll work with anyone who wants to improve crypto and in the right kind of ways. But at any rate, this definitely came out for the Democrats to start attacking, and I think that the Chairman Gensler had a phone call or two from the White House saying, "Hey, what's going on with this crypto thing? We need to protect the American public." And now we would get into a political discussion on your definition of protect, but nevertheless, I think that they chose this very activist stance as a result.
Well, you can certainly say it's activist. I mean, if you do Google searches of common phrases and trending words and stuff like that, the words, Gensler and SEC went from barely being mentioned ever to always in the top in the financial categories.
Yeah, well, authoritarian comes to mind. I could throw out a couple other ones, but yeah.
We're not done on a side note. I was just reading up on some articles about what's going on in Brazil. And the authoritarian it was because of a tweet from Elon. He's talking about Brazil possibly cutting off Twitter because they won't block accounts of people critical to the government, specifically I'm not going to try and mention names or positions, but they're having some issues down there with free speech, crypto, or free speech and all sorts of stuff, and it's causing a flight to crypto. First because inflation, protection against inflation. People that were smart enough to know how to use crypto started moving assets, not all other assets, but buying stable coins where they could, or BTC in order to get out of inflation. And all of a sudden, within the past week, and another tweet by Elon, not pumping something like Dogecoin, but just bringing up a topic in the world, you saw the spike from Brazil into more money into out of their fiat and into crypto, because all of a sudden there's this ominous news coming out of their government. We just had a new president come in, everything was great, and then it turns out may not be so good. There's people behind the scenes pulling the strings on that. In Washington, D.C., from your perspective, do people care what's going on in other countries in crypto and seeing the progress they're making, or how people are embracing it, or do they care at all about anything else other than what's going on in their districts?
So I'm not sure that they understand or care about much of anything, frankly. But and by the way, I would point out Congress not doing things is sort of by design. And the only thing I can think worse is them actually accomplishing things. But in terms of crypto, I think it gets framed. Let's talk about kind of the blue argument and the red argument, right? So the blue for Democrats, they view it as an environmental issue. I mean, keep in mind the Inflation Reduction Act is primarily full of environmental programs. Right. So the environment is a crucial part of the Democratic Party platform. So that's kind of the lens that they'll view things through, which is interesting because you look at the number of unbanked people who can benefit from crypto. You look at the inflationary hedge in developing countries and all these things. Like there's amazing cases for helping poor people with crypto, but they've chosen to kind of look past that and focus really in two areas, right? So one is the environment, and two is crypto exchanges. And one of the biggest struggles with staffers in Congress is explaining to them, look, there's sort of three things going on. Okay, you have blockchain, which can be public or private. You have a cryptocurrency, which is a byproduct of a public blockchain. And you have an exchange where you can trade currencies, and think it's akin to like Forex trading. So the fact that FTX kept all their passwords in a WhatsApp group and mismanaged their exchange and everything else they did has nothing to do with blockchain or crypto, right? And any more that if a bank, I don't want to name one because is invested in an arms dealer and the arms dealer does terrible things, you don't go to the bank and say the bank's to blame.
Credit Suisse.
So,
Credit Suisse.
what? Anyways, my compliance attorneys are going to kill me if I acknowledge too much. But I was very critical of another very famous bank and banker in the U.S., one who said a lot about crypto being a scam. And then I pointed out that his particular bank owns an entire crypto development capability and is on 2 ETFs. But I got a call from our chief legal officer who said, you are right on getting sued by these guys. So it was
you gotta be careful in this world.
They have
they have a lot of they can make your life miserable even if they have no case because
they can and really not to derail things too much, talk about the red side of this for banks. To me, if you take all of the fines that JP Morgan has had since 1995, it's more than the crypto industry has in its entire existence. Actually, I think if you go 2010 to now, I think you still have more from one single bank than the entire crypto industry. Because if you're going to launder money, where do you launder it? In almost every case, you need fiat
through the bank.
To a bank. Yeah, like, are you kidding me? But in the very rare cases where you're trading like for arms or human trafficking, but that's the tiniest of tiny fractions. Anyways, on the red side, I think it's protecting markets, and of course, there's a lot of concerns about CBDCs, and
certainly.
And so I think that's more of the red side of it. And I watched a TV commercial that ran on one of the right-leaning networks here in the U.S. And it was saying, Bitcoin's on the rise and the government's going to create a CBDC. You need to invest in gold. And it was fascinating because it was so fundamentally deceptive. They were suggesting that Bitcoin is a CBDC and somehow heralds this, which is, of course, completely ridiculous.
I can't believe there's deception in the media. I can't believe it.
Well, this was a TV commercial, so maybe you're more prone to believe that. But there's some concerns. Now, what we are seeing, you have a state like Texas, and they do such amazing work at the Texas Blockchain Council. Like the city of Fort Worth, they actually mine Bitcoin in their city hall, and they're kind of reddish purple. Rather than kind of a hard red city, which might be a surprise to some people who know U.S. politics. But Wyoming. I mean, there are places that are that are red that are really embracing this, and I really hope to see in a few more blue states when you look at flare gas mitigation and different things that you can do with proof of work mining. To get these energy intensive high performance computing capabilities off grid from on grid. I think there's a story there, but we'll see what happens.
Well, there's totally a story there. I mean, I've had both Caitlin Long on the show here talking about Custodia Bank and the progress they're making in Wyoming, and that was truly interesting. But more importantly, I had his last name's Simon from a company that does this flare gas recapturing. I do a lot of work in Canada with. I live in Chicago and I also live in Canada, so I have a big Canadian network as well. And in Alberta, they are, and in Manitoba, because they're kind of doing the same thing. They're estimating recapturing almost all of their flare gas and methane outputs from that into Bitcoin mining, simply because Starlink is available now, and they can go and put a container on a well that's just leaking some flare gas, or they've capped it, but if they uncap it, it'll just leak methane or flare gas, and they can mine Bitcoin there because they've got a Starlink connection.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I work with a company that looks at methane to high performance computing as well, and I liken it to when they used to refine oil and just had these puddles laying around and didn't know what to do with this waste product from oil. Well, that ended up becoming kerosene. When kerosene lowered the price of heating for every American by like 20 or 30%, and of course it replaced what they were burning, which was whale oil, which put an end to whaling in North America. So I think flare gas mitigation, and it can also be from a garbage dump. It's not as efficient. Nothing's more efficient than natural gas. But I think taking this waste and turning it into energy, which becomes Bitcoin, or it can be AI or other things as well, is like the greatest opportunity since the creation of kerosene to have a good environmental impact and make a difference economically.
Well, I really when I first heard the narrative about Bitcoin causing so much just craziness in the electrical market, and even that's when Elon Musk said, "Oh my gosh, we're going to stop taking Bitcoin until you guys sort that out." And then 2 weeks later, like, "Oh, you sorted it out. Everything is great." Because they didn't sort it out. He just learned the truth. Someone said, "Wait a minute, that's not the truth." And so I thought about that too. And as we've progressed down this road, I realized how Bitcoin mining actually, it does use energy. Nobody's arguing about that. But it's the first thing that I can think of in ages that actually has caused competition in the power industry, because Bitcoin mining, they seek out the lowest power as fast as they can. They'll jump countries, they'll jump ship as fast as they can to get the lowest rate. And so power companies are now like, all right, let's see if we can get a lower price to them. They do all kinds of. I mean, we could do 10 of these shows about that. But the narrative that it's not this overburden thing, the narrative that it's a total waste, and the narrative that it's everyone, like, there's still a lot of LinkedIn accounts. People are like, it's going to zero. And I tell them, I said, do you know the economy behind Bitcoin? Not just the price of Bitcoin, but the economy, the miners out there, the power companies, the infrastructure providers that are all building. This is not just an investment in a token or something like that. This is its own GDP generating machine here. I have to bring this back to Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Do people there understand that? No,
they don't. I mean, I often will somewhat sarcastically say, because my favorite thing in any like Yahoo Finance story is invariably the self-professed genius who says something about tulips and the tulip craze in Holland. Like, they love to throw out tulips and Ponzi scheme. And what I point out is, would we agree if you can buy a house with something its currency? I think most reasonable people would agree with that. And then I'm like, well, go to Redfin and go to Miami and look at properties. It literally says takes Bitcoin in the corner. So this idea that it's not a currency is ridiculous. The idea it's a Ponzi scheme is ridiculous. Like, do you not know what a Ponzi scheme is? Like, just get through the Wikipedia page and you'll see that's not the case. Now, what is Bitcoin? What I kind of point out sarcastically is, Bitcoin's no different from the US dollar, and they're both essentially faith-based currencies. And the number of people who don't understand that there's nothing backing the US dollar other than faith in the United States government to make the right decisions with economic policy and other factors that involve it, it's kind of alarming. And so I think that's one of the big struggles, is there's such a woeful lack of understanding of economic policy in Washington, D.C. I mean, look at every spending bill and you can understand that.
That's true.
Sorry, one last point to where it's alarming in D.C. The debt servicing. So what we pay now in the United States just on interest is more than we pay for the U.S. military. So we have the military to deal with existential threats to our country. And we have a debt that's so large, the interest payments are bigger than the cost of the standing army. Like, at what point do we not say, maybe we have a spending problem?
I bring it up. My congressman here is Mike Quigley in the 5th District of Illinois. And I bring it up with him, with other people in their office. I said, what do we need to do to get the spending stopped? And they said, there's nothing we can do. If we just say, the entire U.S. budget, just say, let's take a quarter off of it. Just reduce it by 25%. We've got to get this under control. That the attack ads immediately come out. She's putting seniors in the street. He's anti. He likes gangbangers and criminals. And he said we can't. We're absolutely frozen at loggerheads here.
And it's it's one worse actually. Pay careful attention to the language when they cut an entitlement. They don't usually cut it; they just reduce it. So if one party, and I'll just avoid being too political, but if one side says, let's reduce the increase, the other side calls it a cut.
Right.
And no one ever questions it. It's like, no, it's actually a reduced increase. It's not a cut. A reduced increase is never a cut. It's an increase. But yeah, you see that across the board. And honestly, it's like Imperial Spain. I don't understand any other trajectory that makes sense other than
like Imperial Spain.
just
spend it all, we're out of money, and then collapse. All right. Anyway, Chris, I'm going to take a break to talk about some sponsors, some upcoming events. We'll get back to you in just a minute. It's been a very good conversation. I'd like to have some more of it. Just give us 5, and you'll hear me cue you to come back.
Great.
To talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Chris Alexander, the Pioneer Development Group, Web3 applications, blockchain, all kinds of stuff. Chris, I've got your mic muted, so you're good. Bringing some interesting conversation. As you know, Pedro is out today, but Pedro was supposed to be here for this and ask Chris all the hard-hitting questions he does. But before we get to anything else, I crashed earlier. I don't have my voice, my cheers going. But thank you very much to Johnny P. Cheers DiCaprio on Solana, or cheers on Mexi. Community on the way. Johnny P. shilling it hard out here with some 10 Australian dollars. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. We'll use your shill budget to improve our show. Thank you very much. And you can't do anything better than that, and take someone's shill money and apply it to your own country. Drano in the house. I'd play the LeBron James, our basketball warrior here. Does he know about NetZ? I don't think so, but I'm sure bring it up. But Drano, I do want to say UConn's going down tonight. UConn's going down. My team, Purdue, is going to win. It's their time. They have not been in the Final Four since 1980. They have not been in the final game since 1967 or 69. I don't remember which it is, in which they played the Lakers, who had whom? Yeah, a guy named Lou Alcindor, otherwise known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And they smoked Purdue because the UCLA team was awesome back then. Did I say Lakers? Whatever. But as we know, Kareem played for UCLA, and they won like 7 championships with him, and just after that, because they had the most awesome team ever. But we'll be celebrating later because Purdue is in the final game. The coach, Matt Painter, I actually went to school with him, and knew him back then. I haven't kept in touch with him, but a couple of my college buddies have, and are good friends with him, and have said nothing but good things about the team this year. We do have a guy that's like 325 feet tall on the team, and he's a senior, so I don't know how good the team's going to be next year, but that's all good. One of the things I want to talk about that's coming up here, you're going to start hearing me talk about it a lot coming up, is... let's see. Let me bring this up here. Let me see if I can do this right. The Blockchain Futurist Convention, otherwise known as ETH Toronto and ETH Women, coming up August 13th and 14th in Toronto. I'm doing a broadcast there. Pedro and I are going to do our DYOR live show there every day, twice a day, the morning and afternoon session. And also I'm partnering with Zach Humphreys, and we're going to have a little creator zone and broadcast area to bring you updates from the show every day. This is one of the best shows in North America. I realize there's the Bitcoin show, which obviously focuses on Bitcoin, mining, the whole ecosystem that frankly is exploding in Bitcoin. But the Blockchain Futurist Conference brings everyone in that's developing on EVM chains all together, and really in the whole ecosphere. And we're a media partner with them. So if you want to buy tickets to that and go to it, you can join us there. Come meet me, meet Striking. I know that's what everyone's just waiting to do, right? Can't wait to hear the comments on this one. But anyway, we'll be broadcasting from there. You can get a discount on the ticket prices. They've just gone up a lot, so if you didn't already get a ticket, maybe I can get some free. I am going to get some free passes, and we'll be giving them away on the show. But it's a great time, and for those of you, I know many listeners, like you, Mike, out in Winnipeg, you don't get a chance to go to the big conferences in big cities. But if you guys live in any of the big cities, especially you guys in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, and the Paris Blockchain Week is coming up, go to those shows. Do whatever you can to get in there, get a cheap ticket. Go to them. It's so interesting to network amongst the people in these at these shows. Trade shows are just those places you make amazing amounts of connections that you just don't know where those connections are going to go. Especially if someone says, "Hey, I'm launching this now," go buy the token. In a couple of years, it's going to be good. Last year at the ETH Toronto, there was a bunch of AI groups there. People are like, "Well, I'm not so sure about this AI stuff. Who Render? Well, I don't know anything about them." Yeah, Moon. Zachariah, thank you very much. The shilling continues here, ladies and gentlemen, here on the DYOR Media Network. Cheers, DiCaprio and Saul. We have an exciting day tomorrow. Welcome. Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks for your €6. Really appreciate it. Like I say, all of your shill money is going to use to improve our show, which gets the word out. And as you can tell, we're an interactive show that treats its viewers very well, because if you're going to pander to us, we'll pander to you. Like I said, today's a little bit different of a show. To finish up my blockchain conference thing there, we'll be broadcasting there for both these days in August 13th and 14th. It'll be a good time. We're going to be on the live stream for their group also. Last year it was 75,000 viewers. And then, of course, Zach and I will be running our own live streams and shows as well. Going to be a good time. If you're in Canada or in the northern kind of Rust Belt area of the United States, head to Toronto that time of year. Use my discount code. It should be in the comments below, maybe. I don't remember if I put it in there today, but it's just DYOR24, I think. Let's see. What else we got going on here? Ali Pedro says, cheers on Sol 1000X Gem. The shilling continues. Glad we got a new community here rating us today. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Quickly, I want to hit up my friends at World of War. Many of you guys came in later. Worlds of Rewards. Worlds of War. The Martians are coming. Like I said, our new sponsor here is this great new project called World of Rewards here. And I've had segments of the show, as they say, powered by World of Rewards. And to Bruno, thank you for partnering with the show. We will, as I said, be making an explainer video about that and talking about how the rewards are doing every day on the show. Let's see. I hit the blockchain conference. I wanted to talk a little bit about Operation Phoenix. For those of you know that I've been following Operation Phoenix for a while. They've launched their new DEX. I got to get the right page there. They've launched their new DEX, and as you can see, as a result, they've launched some. I believe they're launching a new project on their DEX, and the chart is returning to its glory, thankfully, of that. Now, why is my lighting so crappy today? It's like I have a giant beard. Oh wait, I do have a beard, but it's like the bottom face is dark. Anyway, get the shadow out of the way. Anyway, Operation Phoenix, for those of you guys, Tom Oliver, thanks for joining us from Ali Pedardis. All right, I got your shill. We get it. But thanks. Thanks for that. Charles says, sure, it'd be interesting to see Operation Phoenix on World of Rewards. Well, there would be a good hookup there. What else did I want to bring you? Tom says, Operation Phoenix is smashing it. You guys have been good to our show, brought a lot of viewers here. I thank you for that. Let's see, where were we last here? We had, the other day, we had our DeFi Dojo sponsored segment. And during the show, as you can see, the show was right here. This is when we start talking about it on the show. And this is what you love to see when you have a sponsored guest on to get some attention, and it immediately tanks right off. it just tanks right off. And in our show portfolio, Pedro and I, it's a meme coin, so it was, as they say, a gamble. And I understand that. We all understand that meme coins are a zero-sum game, and for every dollar that someone wins, someone else loses $1. So make sure you have a high risk using meme coins. And ours was high risk, and we lost. We got in there right there thinking that their big marketing campaign was going to really kill it, and it tanked. It's starting to climb back up a little bit, but I brought this up not just to talk about investing in meme coins, other than it's a huge risk, and even though you think it's going to go one way, the project is a good story, had a good dev, all this type of stuff, put big money into marketing, it still tanked. That's your lesson. That's your DYOR lesson for the day there. What else did I want to bring up before we get back to the good stuff? Our friends at PepZ are still trying to recover. PepZ is a meme coin on the mainnet Z level 1 chain that we've been talking about a lot lately. The good news that they've been waiting for to really kind of kick it off is waiting for a bridge. For a long time, there was no bridge from the world into the mainnet Z ecosystem. And so you had to go through an exchange first, which is fine and simple. It's a one-step process. But many people don't have exchanges, and especially the DGen crew. And also many people are in the United States where it's difficult. It's very difficult to have a proper exchange and act quickly. They put a lot of restrictions on it. You can't just open an account and 10 minutes later put in money, change it, and send it somewhere else. The U.S. just doesn't let you do that. Because we all know what are the countries we share a list with in the finance world? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The United States is on the same list as North Korea, Iran, Cuba, parts of Sudan, most of the Russian Federation right now. Where we share a good company because of the regulators in Washington, D.C. and what they've done to our country. They've put us on the same list as all these other wonderful countries. So we have a lot of restrictions here. Anyway, but mainnet Z now has established a bridge, and the bridge is opened up for BNB, Matic, and ETH in order to bring things over. So we see good things coming up for the projects over there, which are the NetZ Finance Group, PepZ Meme Coin, and of course the mainnet Z community at large. So Mr. Trust comes up and just shills it as I'm buying Cheers DiCaprio on Solana. Well, I got to tell you, one of you shillers for that project, let us know. Can you buy things on Solana now, or is it transactions failing? Let us know if Solana's working that. Anyway, I just thought I'd take that little break. Thanks to all our viewers watching. Just got a few minutes left in the show here, but we want to get back to our guest here. Let's see, where's that button moved on me? That button moved on. We're going to bring Chris back up on the show here. There we go. Chris, the meme coin market, and I default, this is the first time we're talking, so I'm getting to know your talking points here, but the meme coin market, I faded on a long time ago. If you go back and look at the history of my shows out the past couple of years, you'll see that Tom says, meme coin's bad. Bad. They're terrible things. You're just going to lose your money. It's a zero-sum game, and it's not really fair for new people to come in and they just become other people's exit liquidity. In the past 4 months, before years ago, there were few chains. Now there's 1 million level 1 chains. Not 1 million. There's a bunch. There's level 2 chains. There's now level 3 chains. There's level 2 chains starting on Bitcoin. The market is so much larger now. And meme coins are exploding on pretty much all the chains, especially the first one or the first dog named after an important person in that chain, something like that. And I came to the conclusion that many have also, that meme coins are a great marketing tool for chains. It gets people to FOMO onto their chain, and it took me a long time to understand this. And once I did, I was like, hey, meme coins are actually really good. While they're a zero-sum game, and unfortunately, most people, majority of people lose because the smarter people running bots and killing you are winning. a chain can't possibly spend as much money in marketing and get the eyeballs as even a meme coin that has no value, no utility, and is a dog. What have you seen from your perspective of being part of a blockchain and in that industry of helping development, the change in the meme coin market?
Because it is fungible, but same idea. If you're going to buy a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT or a Gary Gensler coin, have at it. But either way, in both cases, there's utility to that blockchain, right? It's kind of a DeFi utility, but it's a utility, and it puts transactions on the blockchain. And many people, I think, increasingly will see that as how they perceive value on blockchain. So I think it's great for that. I would just suggest if you don't know the difference between a cold wallet and a hard wallet, if you don't know what a seed phrase is, you might want to start somewhere a little less volatile than meme coins.
Yes.
And the analogy I like to use is, meme coins are penny stocks, and some make it, some don't. And there's a lot of market dynamics that you may or may not understand. You may or may not ever understand. And so I would say kind of work your way into meme coins after learning the fundamentals of blockchain first.
All right. Well, we've talked a lot about the Gensler and the Fed and crew and all that, but we haven't talked really anything about you yet. Tell us about Pioneer Development Group and the blockchain and projects that you're involved in.
Absolutely. So Pioneer Development Group has developed a Liberty blockchain. The blockchain itself's been running about 9 months now. And Pioneer Development Group develops applications for the blockchain. So the first one is called the Historical Explorer app. It's sort of Pokemon Go meets the History Channel meets crypto, if you will. So you can earn digital rewards for having AR and other interactions with the world around you on your phone. Additionally, we've got a VPN that's coming out and a chat service that uses some blockchain encryption to protect privacy. So talking about the U.S. being on a list with North Korea, China, and Russia for a number of things. The Supreme Court case with Missouri versus the Biden administration, where they were actively censoring people. It seems to be in violation of their First Amendment rights. We think that having alternatives that can't be censored, that are decentralized, social media apps, for example, are something that's important. So for the Liberty blockchain, we're dedicated to the principles of free and open society. And that goes all the way back to how we were formed. All of us came out of the special operations community. We've been together in Iraq, Afghanistan. I got a call 3 years ago now, and they said, "What do you know about blockchain?" And I said, "Well, not really anything. I mean, I know there's Bitcoin, and I've heard of this thing called Ethereum." And they were like, "Perfect, you're hired." And so I started out by trying to figure out a way to better explain and simplify what is blockchain for people as a way to start bringing people on. So going back to our Historical Explorer app, what we're so excited about is this is a way to get people who don't know anything about crypto involved. Right? They can download the app and they can find out about the history around them. And then, they'll get an email the way we envision it. We're in a closed alpha right now.
Right.
People can, get an email a few days later. "Hey, you have digital rewards. Would you like to set up a wallet? Like we'll take you through that process." And so they don't have to. But at the same time, we're avoiding revisionist history, where we try to say things like the founding fathers were all terrible. They were people of their day.
I can't stand that.
They did good, they did bad. Let's talk about what they did good and bad, and let's talk about it in the context of their time, because what they did was, literally revolutionary. But So you can learn about these things and get digital rewards, and it's immutable. It's just like we get asked about free speech and blockchains, and it's like, look, you have a right to be an idiot in this country. I mean, I think Congress proves that every day when they go out and go to work. And so if you want to say stupid, terrible things, as long as it's not illegal, because you can't threaten violence, there's a few things you can't do. It's actually very, very clear what you cannot do. So if you want to say stupid things or call people names, just know that if you do it on a blockchain-enabled app, it's there forever. You're not erasing it. The government's not erasing it. You're going to be accountable for what you said unless you're going to be anonymous running around. But again, we're not in the business of determining truth. We're not in the business of judging people. Follow the rules, and we think that's how social media should operate.
There's a lot of people trying to erase the truth or hide it.
I saw something fascinating. It kind of just blew my mind. But I read this article. I can't remember where now, but someone pointed out that the most valuable thing in the future may be books, because they can't be changed. And it really gives a new perspective on that book Fahrenheit 451, right, where the fireman goes around burning books. If you have,
I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point.
Yeah,
invest in books, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
That's Chris drops the alpha over here.
Yeah.
Learn to read and buy books.
Or maybe NFT books, because then you can't change it, right? So
that's a good point.
Maybe that's one better. It's a little more portable that way. By the way, when we talk about Bitcoin and gold, I think it's interesting, as long as you have electricity, because if you're going super Mad Max, presumably you don't even have that. But what's easier to carry around, a sled full of gold bullion or a cold wallet? If maybe you want to mix, but I would just think if you're that concerned about Mad Max doomsday scenarios, outside of an EMP blast, which again, if there's an EMP blast, I got to tell you got bigger problems. But why not have some Bitcoin?
Well, I always point out to people is that they say, well, invest in gold, invest in gold, invest in gold. I said, all right. I said, but you already need to be in for the doomsday scenario, not just for investment purposes. You need to already have a barter economy set up. I mean, obviously in a doomsday, a barter economy will spring to life immediately. But you have to be able to trade with people immediately that accept gold, understand the value of it better as well as you do, and do all that type of stuff. Humans are good at figuring this stuff out fast, but normally, they're like, well, I'll just get in my truck and drive over there, and I'll get my corn and drive over here. I'm like, well, you're not going to have a truck, because there's the gasoline supply system has fallen apart. I said, you're not going to have Bitcoin. You're not going to be able to use your gold. I said, what are you going to do? I said, if that scenario really plays out, what's going to happen? And they're like, well, what do you mean I can't have my truck? I'm like, what's going to happen is you're going to have to learn to grow food, and then you go back to a food economy, and then we slowly build back up over the years.
Yeah, it was, when my team got to Iraq 6 months after everything kicked off in 2003. And it was surreal, like walking around in an environment where violence determined what was happening, on all sides. And they still had money, obviously. You could, the Iraqi dinar. Saddam was on every denomination at the time, by the way.
Like the movie The Dictator.
Yeah, it's closer. It was very interesting seeing how people reacted to Saddam being deposed, and we were involved actually in the currency exchange. But part of what the team I was on worked on. But I've seen actual lawlessness, right? And the average anarchist, I don't think would last more than like 15 minutes in those cases. Like, it sucks. And might makes right, and that's the end of it. And
well, I've had people on the show here comment in the red state versus blue state thing, saying, if you guys are going to steal the election again, the same tropes as before, it could lead to clashes and civil war type stuff. And I try to get through to these guys' head. I said, remember, our economy and our civilization and everything that you enjoy in your life as a basic necessity, not luxury, as a basic necessity, food, transportation, roof over your head, is geared towards a peaceful economy. As soon as you have disruption of that, you don't have a car, you don't have your job and your life, and everything's great, and it's just me versus them. It's a disaster of epic human proportions. Imagine 300 million refugees in the U.S., not 12 million in some country in Iraq or in Africa or something like that.
Well,
people don't think that far through.
No, and I think something that's just, it's never as interesting, right? So you don't look at as much, but go back and read what people were saying right at the end of World War II. Even like in the World War II memorial in DC, there's a quote from MacArthur, and it's saying, he's basically saying there's no more violence, and now people can build their lives and trade peacefully. And so strife is bad. I mean, look what's happening. Prices of oil are going up. That's having an effect on the economy. Good economic news has been spurring Bitcoin on, perhaps, certainly in the U.S. And so you see even the threat of instability and the havoc it can wreak on something like gas prices, which in turn affect interest rates. You don't get those rate cuts. You don't get more liquidity moving into Bitcoin. These aren't super complicated chains. I'm certainly no economic expert, but it's disconcerting that, this war's bad for business. It's good for arms dealers, but they're a small fraction of an economy.
Well, I can identify with you. I spent some time in Afghanistan as a contractor, as a supplier person, and I wasn't there 10 minutes, and I'm like, this was in 2011, not early on. Early on, we had plenty of business being there, doing what we needed to do. But later on, and I got there, and I'm like, I have never seen such a large waste of money. The money we were spending, not just us, all the other nations. I was in the armored vehicle business. I built and sold armored vehicles. And I had a lot of service stuff going on there. And so I'm like, I need to go there. And I was like, and right down the street while I'm sleeping, stayed at this place. It was like a bed and breakfast type place where a bunch of diplomats stayed. Just across the way, a UN place of just a similar thing gets attacked. And I was like, oh, good Lord. I'm like, I'm out of here. And that was it. That was it for Afghanistan with me.
I can't remember the name now. It was Rose something. I think we stayed in the same spot. I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Was a Croatian or Serbian lady running it?
Yes. That's funny. And I was a scout before I was an information operations planner. So I was in Strikers and Bradleys and everything. But it's bad for business. Bad for
business. This is what we earlier when I was telling you what goes on in the show. This is what we call Tom's Tangents, where we get off the topic and tell stories. But our viewers enjoy it because they get to know us personally, and they've gotten to know me personally, and they know Pedro very well. And I'm glad you spent some time with us today. And as we're kind of getting to the end of the show here, but I'd like to have you on again here when we can, and when your schedule permits, to talk about things like this, especially since we don't. I spend a lot of time in Canada, so I bring a Canadian perspective to it, which is it's just as effed up as the United States perspective.
Well, that's skip up there.
I've been working in there forever. I've built when I said armored vehicles, I build passenger vehicles, Suburbans, Land Cruisers, that type of stuff, and I've built them for the RCP for ages. So I've worked there for a long time, and then I started living there, and I was like, oh, they can elect a leader with only 30% of the vote. Imagine in the U.S. we argue over 49.5 versus 50. You're not my president. You're not my president.
Yeah.
Imagine if we declared the president of the United States, he only won 30% of the vote. Imagine the hell that would come about.
And to bring it back to crypto, all of it, you actually see a lot of veterans interested in crypto and blockchain. Like I haven't seen any hard numbers on it, but veterans are clearly kind of overrepresented. And I've never delved deep into it, but I do wonder how experiences in Iraq, Afghanistan, seeing breakdowns in global order and global policing, whether you agree with it or not, make you wonder about alternatives like cryptocurrencies not just Bitcoin as sort of a store of value, but also the utility that blockchains can provide when they're decentralized. I think experiences like what you or I had being in Afghanistan, I think often lead us to blockchain.
Because I didn't grow up in the military. I've only been a contractor to them, and so I've always been on the United States side of it. My first foray into the what do you call it when you're out of the country? Oconus or Onconus?
Yeah, Oconus.
Oconus thing, and I was like, this shit's messed up, man. It's messed up.
Maybe I'll send you the link, but for anyone looking, I think you can still find it. But there is a letter from what's called the Duffel blog. It's kind of the Onion, but for military stuff. And people didn't know it, so a lot of people thought it was real. But it was like Afghanistan fire-base sergeant response to third graders' letter. And the guy's like, on any given day, I don't know who I'm fighting. And when everyone's trying to kill you, it's time for a little introspection. And he writes this whole letter, because you'd get these letters. I don't know if people know about these. You'd get a letter while you were there from like a school kid. And they're very funny. Some of them say things like, I hope you don't die. The one I got said, I wouldn't like being told what to do. I like bacon and eggs. What about you? And they're funny because they're kids. They don't know, what they like. So, if anyone can find it, it's something letter from Afghanistan, Duffel blog. It's absolutely hilarious, and the analysis of it's kind of spot on. Like, I'm not really sure whose side we are on and exactly who we're fighting at any given time, and I think that was a lot of Afghanistan, unfortunately.
But ironically, I did learn in the short time that I was there. I did learn some lessons that I actually have transferred to my kids here in Chicago, and I was with my contact there. And I said, what are we going to, we had like a couple hours between meetings. And he said, I want to go to Chicken Street. And
Chicken Street, yeah.
Things. Get some things. And so I'm like, all right. And he said, he just said, you haven't been out, but, outside of a car, we're going to walk there because it's right, it's not that far of a distance and it's fine right now. He said, however, we're doing it this way, and we're walking this direction. And one of the things he said, always walk into oncoming traffic, not in the traffic, but if it's a one-way street this way, walk against it so you can see the cars coming. And I had been to security classes before because in my industry and anti-terrorist driving, counter surveillance, that type of stuff. But I'd never actually been in the field and done anything like that. And so he's like, you want to be able to watch, if a van slows down and the door's starting to open, you just start, he said, I'll start shooting, you start running. And I was like, okay. And then one day I ventured out by myself to go somewhere, and I followed his advice and all that, and I was like this. It was like, they're like, who's the scared guy? That white guy over there. But now in Chicago, we've got a very progressive liberal government here in the city, and they've done away with bail, and that nobody has to go to jail for anything, and it's, they don't even prosecute shoplifters anymore. And crime has spiked like crazy, and carjacking has spiked like crazy, and armed robbery and all this type of stuff. And so I told my kids, I gave them the same advice that I learned in Afghanistan to apply Chicago. Say, walk into income. The cars are going this way, you walk that way, so you can watch every car, and anyone that slows down near you for any reason, something's wrong. If a car stops in the middle of the street for any reason, if he pulls over and puts his flashers on, it's Uber. If the guy just stops, for any reason, something's wrong. Either something's wrong with him, he's lost, doesn't know where he's going, he's on the wrong street, or he's looking at you for some reason, and it means you need to get out of there. And I thought to myself, what kind of world are we in? I have to take the lessons from Afghanistan.
It is.
Chicago.
I always tell my daughters, and it applies to more than being in gunfights, but I'm sure any veterans that are listening know this, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You're taught that for close quarters combat and clearing rooms. And what it means is, you get so amped up with adrenaline, just dial everything back kind of 10% when you're in a situation you're excited, because time and space are speeding up and you're going to start making mistakes. And
you know what? I'm going to bridge that comment. That's very good advice. I'm going to bridge that comment to meme coins. So for those of you who are out there, when the meme coins are running like crazy, and I shouldn't say meme coins, the crypto market's going like crazy, you don't want to make a lot of bad decisions. You're going to make some, because we all do, it's crypto. But that's great advice. Slow it down. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast.
Yep.
I got that right. I like that. You learn something new on this show every day. That's what we learn.
Don't let emotion get in your trades. I found that when I read the news and then buy something after I read it, a coin, it almost never works out in the short term.
Right.
Like, come back tomorrow, come back in a week, and just make sure that story didn't pump that coin up a little higher than its sort of natural trajectory, and go from there.
You shouldn't be frozen. There we go. I was just launching something that I forgot to launch earlier. But anyway, we've gone on much longer than planned. I'm glad we had a lot of things in common here. Where did my whole background? Oh yeah, there we go. But I want to thank all of our viewers here today for joining us, and all of you new viewers from the Cheers on Solana, whatever you guys were shilling. Thank you very much. Like I said, I'm be happy to take your shill money and use it to improve our show. My co-host Pedro is a veteran also. He was in the coasties down off the coast of Colombia dealing with the mess down there, as they say back in the day. And, one of my friends was a coastie out of Key West, and he was telling stories about being in Colombia, like, armed, shooting. And I was like, that's not the Coast Guard. And they're like, oh, no. He said, we do those things. And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I'm one of my daughters is considered in the Coast Guard, and I was talking about they have like boarding parties, like old-fashioned pirate. It's like a specialty. And I imagine they work a bit with the SEALs as well on that, but I generally avoided water. So
more than about 6 feet off the beach, bad things happen. Like you're like, oh, let's go walk out in the ocean, shark.
Yeah, I had enough problems fording rivers and doing riverine stuff. The other guys can handle the ocean. Like, go get them, guys.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we talked today, Chris and I talked about kind of the differences in Washington, D.C. about, as they say, the blue versus red viewpoints on crypto and how it's going throughout the country. In the news, we hit on the Solana failures, that type of stuff. The ETH ETFs were an important part of our conversation because while everyone's hoping that will boom ETH, Gensler and crew is putting the brakes on that, so it's kind of halting the huge money flow into it. I personally think that it's not both Bitcoin and ETH. It's going to be an either or there for ETFs, especially if the Bitcoin dominance keeps rolling like it is right now. And of course, we talked about the ETF guys buying thousands and thousands and thousands of Bitcoins, far more than the supply. But anyway, we had a good show. First time having Chris on here. Look forward to having you back. Chris, thanks for joining us. I'm going to wrap the show up. Go enjoy your day on that island in the Pacific that you were in, and have good work with the roosters and the birds there.
Waves, still not worth paddling out.
Nope, still not a surfing day there. But anyway, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you again. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Christopher Alexander with the Pioneer Development Group, this group right over here, spending the day with us while Pedro was out. Really appreciate his time. We had a lot more in common than I thought, so it was a good conversation. We got off, as they say, on Tom's tangents, but as we all know, that always happens. That always happens. Where is my control room there? All right, let's hang that up. That's not working. Anyway, Tom, Oliver, thanks. I appreciate it. Ollie, thanks for joining our channel and chilling like a madman. You're good at that. Zachary, thank you. Zakaria. There's certain names I'm just not good at. I just can't do it. But as they say, everyone, we're coming to the end of this show now. And you hear the music, the fat lady is singing here. To Crypto Mike, to Chuck Jansen, the guys at Operation Phoenix, the guys at Pep Z, the guys at Mainnet Z, the guys at Cheers Z, the guys at Cheers Z, at Cheers on Solana. Had a great time today. Every once in a while we have to do things a little differently. Didn't have Pedro giving all his opinions about everything. We'll be on the air. Oh, at no point did I run the show schedule here today. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's still the wrong one. There it is. We'll be here all week, Monday, Tuesday, today, Tuesday, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Pedro will be back Tuesday and Wednesday. We don't have any other guests coming up or anything like that. I want to also shout out to World of Rewards. Thank you guys very much here. Look at that. I've got these new moving logos and stuff like that, and I'm just really advancing here. Kaching says, great show today. Thank you for putting up with us and our technical gaffes in the beginning. I'm actually going to Florida. It's my 1-year wedding anniversary coming up here. Going to play a little golf. Heading down there on Thursday. We'll be broadcasting as much as I can down there, but the beach and golf are going to get in the way, and I need it. It's been a while. We've done a lot of shows. But our show is just really kicking it here, ladies and gentlemen. We're really bringing in the crowds. So I hope all of you stick with us. And when we're not on as much as possible, you stick with us and join us when you can. Spread the word, all that kind of stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, as they always say, my name is Striking, otherwise known as Tom in the real world. I'm so glad to be here. Enjoyed another day. I will see you tomorrow, so be there. And enjoy the music.